Okay, so during our last live stream, the horses were eating here. We'd put out, 5 different areas of hay for them so that everybody had enough to eat. And what I'm going to show you is the reason we feed out hay like this, not just so the horses can get enough food, but also there's a method to our feeding which involves the land. So those of you familiar with regenerative farming or permaculture practices will understand already what we're doing. So if you see over here to the right, there's hay left on that section of the field where we had also put down hay. So every time we put out hay, we try to put it in a different section of the land. Now, why would we do that? Because horse manure, pea, and the leftover hay, which you get a wastage of about 15 to 20%, but it's not a wastage because it combines with the manure and urine to, guess what, totally enrich and rebuild the soil. Now, in our old place, I just love you so much. I could eat you up too. You remember we used to feed all the horses from slow feeder boxes like this because we were in a much smaller but also a rainy environment where we couldn't feed them out on the fields. We had to have them in these enclosed paddocks where there was gravel underneath that kept it dry for them to stand on. And so in an environment like this, you can't feed out in the fields because the horses will just be standing in mud. They'll get thrush. You'll lose so much of your hay in the water and muck. So a slow feeder works best for an environment like this one down by the coast. But for where we are now, we definitely want to be rolling those bales out on the land because we're building our forage not just for the summer, but if we can build up good, dense forage, it will take us through to winter foraging. So the best year that we've had so far, for the whole winter, we only had to feed out 4 round bales for 11 horses. So that was amazing. And we haven't replicated that yet because we've had some experiments with cows and things like that, but we hope to get back to something very close to that. Okay, little break because I want to tell you about the new t-shirt, tank top, and hoodie designs that we have. We've got the Listen to Your Horse with and without the logo, but we also have this new brand I'm working on called Mustang and Elephant. I'm going to tell you more about that later. But for now, how about these groovy doovy designs? So come on over to listentoyourhorse.com, click on the tab called Shop, and check them out. They're all 100% cotton, some of them organic, ring spun, so it's like super soft. I think you'll really love them. So all our bales are stored in that huge 80 by 200 foot pole barn you see down the bottom of the property. And the great thing about this new UHI wheel loader is, look, Rob can carry 2 round bales at the same time. So love, love, love this machine. If you guys have seen my videos about it, we're super excited about it. But anyway, so now, as I said, we've already covered a couple of the lower sections of the field with the hay, manure, urine mix that's going to build us great new soil for the spring, summer. So now we want to pick a new section of the land, and thank God the snow's not too deep so we can still get the tractor around. We also have some really serious tire chains on this wheel loader, so that helps a lot. But Rob is going to head up now to a new spot where we would like to get some better soil happening. You can see Rob has already spread out 1 round bale up here, which is why When the tractor first appeared, he did not get absolutely mobbed by the horses, because that's normally they normally signal him by waiting down at the pole barn. They're like, "Okay, dude, put out some more hay. We're ready." So getting out that first bale is always a little bit hairy, but once he's got one rolled out, they pretty much leave him alone after that. So before he can roll out the bale, of course, he's got to cut off the netting that wraps the bale and keeps it intact while we're moving them around. And we always try to look for a hay seller who uses the least amount of wrapping possible. Occasionally, we can find a seller who uses no plastic netting and he just uses those strings, which is ideal because it's the least amount of material to recycle. I absolutely hate the ones that are like completely wrapped in plastic, and so much pollution for the environment. So then, as you can see, he's got to tip the bale onto its side, because just like you'd roll up a cinnamon bun or a jelly roll, it's going to roll out from one end. And then, of course, to get it to start rolling, you've got to give it a little nudge to get it started. And sometimes you got to give it a few nudges. But as you can see, this is on a downward slope, so that greatly helps things. Oops, misjudged that trajectory a little bit. The horses and the dogs, they were like, what the heck just happened? So look what I mean about this wheel loader. It can go backwards up the side of the mountain in the snow. It's got a Cummins engine. It's 74 horsepower. It's just so awesome. If you guys want to check it out, you can go to uhimachinery.com. It's hilarious how the horses have gotten so frisky. They've gone from eating calmly, and just because the tractor backed up the hill, they got all crazy. Look at Kalia. She's lying down, gonna have a nice roll now. And the hay's deceptive. Like, you might have said, oh, why didn't Rob just leave that one? But watch and see how much he'll be able to get rolled out by just picking up that end piece and getting it to roll out again and spread out, because not only is that better for the horses, giving them more, with this herd, they need a lot of space and a lot of space in between each other. So it's always better to spread the hay out more than to put it up in piles. But again, remember, what's our goal for the soil building, right? What's our goal for the land? And this spot that Rob is putting this out on, we get a lot of, invasive plants growing in this area. And you can see it's on quite a bit of a slope, so the water's running off instead of soaking into the land, which of course does nothing to improve the soil quality, which is why you get, quote, weeds instead of the nicer forage grasses. So, what a lot of people do is they kill the weeds. They look at the weeds as the problem. But that's not the case. The weeds, whatever plants are growing on your land or on your pasture, are telling you about the quality and condition and nutrition levels of your soil. They're telling you about the microbial life that's present in your soil. They're telling you about whether you have a functional mycorrhizal network or not. So, when I first came to this land and it had been overgrazed for 15 years solid by just a gazillion cows, the land was destroyed, and it had the nutrient value of all the plants was so low that I have always given my horses free choice minerals. So down on the coast where the land was in good condition, I knew how much minerals they would consume. They get free choice minerals and free choice salt, right? Now, when I moved them here that first year, they ate, and I'm not joking you, 20 times the amount of minerals that they ate down on the coast where the land was not wrecked. So that tells you how incredibly nutrient deficient the soil was to create plants that were so nutrient deficient. So, here's Rob, by the way. He's rolling out that second bale now. Watch this. Yeah, you better move, Posa. That's right. I just get a kick out of stuff like this. So again, he's got a little, it looks, oh, well, that's just a little bit of an end of a bale there. Might as well leave that for them. No, you watch. As I'm going to keep talking, but you're going to see how much he's going to be able to roll that out. So anyway, when you have soil and therefore plants that are so nutrient deficient, nature can fix that if we give her time and space. So what the land had said to me was, no more cows. And I went, okay, fine. I will not get farm status. I will just have the horses on here and give you the time and space to recover. So what happened, of course, how does nature fix mineral and nutrient deficiency? By activating the plants who have really powerful long roots. Because by the time you've got soil that's that degraded, it is compacted. So if you have, the more delicate, nicer forage grasses, their roots can't get through that compacted soil. So you need plants like thistle and burdock and wild mustard and all of the quote invasive weed species. But those are the plants that are needed to fix the soil and fix the land, you see? So I had an explosion, and you guys know, those of you who've been with me saw how much burdock came up. And then everybody's on YouTube yelling at me for being a shitty horse owner because there's burdock in my horses. And it's like, you're only looking at one tiny piece of this ecosystem here. And you're doing what humans have always done, which is focusing on their agenda and screw everything and everyone else. Well, that's not what we do here at the Singing Horse Ranch. We try to look and listen to every element in the ecosystem. So we did not poison and get rid of burdock. We thanked burdock for coming to help heal this land. But what I did do to, help to control, minimize the effects of the burrs is to mow it. And I know I promised you guys a video on the whole burdock journey. It's coming because I have filmed it over 3 years. It's going to be an awesome video because there's almost no information about what to do about these super invasive weed species. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you what we've done. But anyway, getting back to this. So you have to let those plants grow up and then you mow them just before they go to seed or, just after, so the seeds don't travel too far. You mow them and you leave them on the ground. You don't gather them up in a pile and burn them or compost them. You want those plants know where they need to grow on your land to fix your soil. So don't gather them up and move them somewhere else. Just mow them and leave them where they fall and let them decompose down into the ground over the course of this, over the year. And that will, they will put, because what they've done is they've gone down 12 to 14 feet and they've pulled up all those minerals that are missing from your topsoil. And then when they die, the minerals go back into the topsoil. So nature has a brilliant way of fixing and healing herself if we just give her the time and space. So what we're doing here with the hay feeding is another aspect of that. So we're kind of going, okay, Mother Nature, and let's give you even more help by having this organic matter in the form of hay. And this is an orchard alfalfa mix. So it has the legume, which is nitrogen fixing. And there will be some seeds in here and whatnot, for sure, left over. But the important thing is that the horses are going to poo and pee on this hay because that's their body wisdom. They're hardwired to do that. And we think, oh my God, why are they pooing and peeing on their food supply? That's so dumb. No, it's not. It's holistic. And it's again looking at the ecosystem and taking care of the whole environment. Horses know, their body wisdom knows if we don't fertilize our pastures, we will have less and less food every year. So if they just pooed in a pile like we would like them to, their whole pasture would not get fertilized. So their wisdom is at work here. So we work with the wisdom of the horse as well as the wisdom of the land. And what's going to happen is all these different spots on the ranch where we've rolled out hay as much as we can and the horses have pooed and peed on it, and it's all going to decompose and it's going to provide more enrichment and, really importantly, more microbial life. The horse's manure and urine is going to hugely improve the microbiome in the soil. And then with the sheep combined in with that, that again provides another boost to the microbiome in the soil. And then over time, you get much better plants growing on your land. You get far less of the what we call invasive weed species because your land doesn't need them. And then the land wants to nourish the other creatures that are on the land. So this all takes place naturally if we can just set it up to do so. Now remember, the sheep are only in here because of the recent coyote attacks. And normally they are out year-round out on the land. They have been grazing among the horses, often right side by side with them. The horses also help to guard the sheep. So you get that mixture of the horse manure and the sheep manure that's really great for the land. And of course their urine too also helps with the microbiome and the soil building and development. And now we're down here under the giant pole barn, and this is the one end of it that we use to store our hay and all our equipment. And then the rest of the pole barn is for the horses' use and shelter, and they love it when it's really hot in the summer too. I will leave you with this beautiful sunset on a snowy winter's day, and the horses all feeding happy, healthy, and peacefully, while the organic matter from the leftover hay, the manure, and urine is creating new soil, improving the microbiome and the mycorrhizal network of the existing soil, and creating a much healthier land.